did I know about the land down under? Surprisingly little, considering what I was about to discover. That it is a world unto itself, that it boasts of flora and fauna all its own, that it offers spectacle upon spectacle, vista upon vista. That actually I knew. What I didn't was that despite its somewhat inauspicious beginnings, life here may be shaped by other corners of the world, but it will not be defined by them. That the phrase "no drama" says more about the Aussies than I could have imagined, and most critically that the culinary offerings go so far beyond throwing some shrimp on a barbie that I suspect Paul Hogan has a lot to answer for. I was going to be exploring some of the highlights of the larger Victoria area. It is without question one of the jewels in Australia's very substantial crown. And the heart of that is of course the city of Melbourne. Perched upon the bay with the Yarra River running through it, it's busy and it's beautiful. It's big city with just enough small town rolled in to keep it cozy. It has history, it's contemporary, it can be all kinds of quirky, and like most great cities of the world, it doesn't let you feel like a stranger for long. And no doubt its remarkable culinary culture plays a role in that too. You can't hold out too long against a city that loves food this much. Its markets are bursting with the freshest, finest produce, its streets are exploding with cafes and weak corners for a quick bite. Heck, you can even have a meal on a tram trundling around the city. No, really. I usually avoid things this patently touristy, but this seemed to merit an exception. First off, it's an old, beautifully preserved heritage tram, burgundy, grand and gorgeous.
This tram car has been operating since 1983. We started building these 3 trams in 1982. And this is the world's first tram car restaurant on wheels.
And that's not all that makes it distinct. Yes, the colonial tramcar restaurant is a bit like one of the saloons of old. Even better, it can take me for a tour of the city as I eat. Beats the hell out of the Virar local, I tell you that. By the way, the eats are also, let's just say, not what I'm used to.
Tell me what you think about when I say train travel. Matka chai, greasy, not terribly tasty, slightly smelly, veg cutlets. And here I am having duck wrapped in prosciutto as I take a tour of Melbourne.
Yes, a duck roulade in prosciutto and salmon on a bed of creamy avocado mousse on a tram. As Meals on Wheels go, it'll be a while before I can top this.
Do you want to know what's as far removed as is humanly possible from our modes of public transportation? This. All of this.
Gorgeous as an overview of the city is, it is a place made for walking, and there's no better way to enjoy the grand charm of the Federation Square, the view over the river, or to explore delightful little bylanes like these. Excellent street art, roads called AC/DC Lane. I ask you, what more could you possibly want? Or perhaps to enjoy the other thing that makes Melbourne so special. The term melting pot is so overused now that it doesn't seem to do justice to the way the city has absorbed and been shaped by the many migrants who have made it their home. And gastronomically speaking, I can tell you this multiculturalism, so close to the city's heart, has emerged as the gift that keeps on giving. So much so that I am breaking a cardinal rule of mine and am going to a restaurant that boasts food that I should find all too familiar. Tonka then sits on this delightful street, one where forget street art, shoe art evidently takes pride of place. It's a good start. The brainchild of Adam De Silva of Indian and Italian descent. Tonka, I was told, combines the best of India with the best of Australia. As I took my seat and a look around, it's clear that Tonka's working very well here. Then my starters arrived and I began to see why.
The idea about Tonka when we opened it almost a year ago now is that I wanted to do something different and something that hasn't been done in Melbourne, let alone Australia. So doing an Indian-inspired restaurant was a natural progression, seeing that I am half Italian and half Indian. Aussie-born though, but obviously deep roots.
And those roots pop up in every plate. Take this, a tuna tartare that's served with wasabi, yes, but also ginger, pomegranate and rice poppadoms. Fresh, fun, quite fabulous. But then came this, beetle leaf packets with smoked trout served laced with chili coconut and salmon caviar. Australia meets India? Like this? Count me converted.
I love pan. I have traveled and eaten pan the length and breadth of India. I'm a fan, right? No need to reiterate that. Despite that, I am saying I have rarely seen betel leaf put to as effective use as it has been over here.
And it keeps getting better. Giant soft-shell crab pakoras are next. Yes, crab pakoras. A beast of a crustacean, laced inside with a hint of pudina chutney, then batter fried. It's both crunchy and clever. As was this, the pork belly with crispy crackling. Served, I was thrilled to see on this a bed of the most ubiquitous of bhajis. You know, band gobi done old school style.
Do you want to know what I love about my life? I love the fact that I have come to Melbourne and I have been served the kind of bhaji I eat at home every day. Here it is. Cabbage, dal, curry patta. What's genius is he has topped it then with pork belly and crispy crackling and pickled radish. And while this is simply sublime, the bad news is my standard gharwala bhaji has been now ruined for me forever. I am not going to eat it any other way.
With all my starters is to bring some sort of freshness and lightness to it. So that's what the Australian palate likes as well. They don't like stodgy food.
But I still hadn't tried the one that would emerge as my absolute favourite. Simple, basic almost till you have it together. It's an ode to the old dahi chutney, but one that's been ramped up considerably. Good greasy tawa style roti, coriander or dhania relish, and a big beautiful ball of paratha, that curds laced mound of creaminess.
I haven't done much travelling as India as I like, but I think that's irrelevant to the food I'm cooking because it's all it's still a traditional food, but also using my interpretation of it. And sometimes I think that we in Australia cook the best food of every culture because we're using great Australian produce. So the burrata, handmade, the cheese, the homage to the Italian Indian side of things. My mother had to make a curry and a bowl of pasta when we were growing up, so that's why she used olive oil in all her curries and cooking. So hence that's why there's a certain lightness.
Speaking of lightness, it's in the touch. A playful Goa curry with mussels, shrimp and that most famous of Australian fish, the barramundi. His version of a kachumber with heart of palm and pomelo. Along with that, a brisk, bright leg of duck served in Rajasthani masalas. Just some more of the good stuff.
So traditionally, the last thing I have ever done is go to a foreign land and find an Indian restaurant to eat, right? It just goes against everything the travel is supposed to be about until you discover a place like this. What Tonkas does is beautifully integrate the very best of Australia with these wonderful Indian flourishes. So it's food that is just, it's brand new, and if you don't mind my saying so, it's brilliant.
The only note not quite as exciting were the gulab jamuns in saffron syrup. Tasty, yes. Exciting, not so much. But it didn't matter because they also had this, which was all that and more.
Beautiful ginger cake.
Yeah.
Using certain flavours from the Indian cuisine, but just also incorporating into a French-based dessert. The Darjeeling tea, the ginger, and then she's used honeycomb there, yogurt sorbet.
So not surprisingly, I'm a fan, and so I'm going to soak in the joys of an afternoon very well spent. It's a wonderful start and a much needed reminder for me that sometimes you can find the fun, certainly the flavour, even or maybe particularly in the familiar.